why are you on this planet? If you don't know the answer to that question, it's a hard life. I remember when I was growing up, I fell into the same funnel as everybody else in thinking that the reason you're on this planet is pretty much tied to what you're going to do for work. And when I looked at the top 100 jobs list on one of those stupid ass assignments in school that say, check out these jobs and see which one fits. And I'm sitting there thinking, all of this is absolute bullshit and I hate every single one and I would never want to spend all of my time doing this. I realized, whoa, I've got a real thing to figure out here. And the ultimate responsibility of the modern day human is to figure out your purpose. Why are you on this earth? And I'll tell you what, we used to have it pretty damn easy. We used to have purpose fresh out of the box. No pun intended, I guess. But fresh out of the box, we used to have a free purpose handed to us, and it's to survive. So you get thrown into this earth thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and you don't even question, why am I here? You just say, man, I'm trying to make it to the next day. Because you feel the pain of the freezing cold, you feel the pain of the burning hot, you feel the pain of hunger, you feel the pain of running away from something that's trying to kill you. So there is not a damn question of why are you on this earth. I'm trying to make it to tomorrow. Now, it might seem harsh, being hungry, being cold, being hot, being scared, being whatever emotion that the first humans must have felt. You must think that's terrible. You might think that's kind of harsh, and it is. Of course it is. But there's something nice to that. Because along with the practical difficulty, the practical pain in the ass of being a human in the natural world, you get the freedom. You get the existential, mental freedom to not be stuck wondering, to not be stuck spiraling through, why am I here? And there's something really nice to that. However, if you're listening to this podcast, you are not one of those humans that get the free purpose. Day one. So guess what? We got to figure out what the heck it is. What is your purpose exactly? And there's a very distinct pain involved when you don't know why you're here, because just to wake up in the morning feels difficult. Just to take a shower, it might feel difficult. Just to cook yourself a meal, it might feel difficult when you don't have a reason why you ought to. So purpose is the fundamental driver of any achievement, any discipline, anything that you want to do or be. So maybe by the end of this podcast, you can have a little bit more clarity as to, why am I here? Or how can I figure out why the heck I'm here? That would be my goal. The pain in the ass of the modern day is the fact that, like I explained before, quote unquote, finding yourself is actually just getting a job. You know what I mean? So you go to college and they say, oh, you're going to find yourself in these 4 years. And that's kind of the advertised outcome of going to college. And then simply no, you just get a freaking piece of paper and then you get concrete placed into one lane that you're supposed to stick to forever. And if you veer outside of that, everyone's going to remind you how you're screwed and you'll never be able to make it if you quit your job and do something that you're actually passionate about, because that's the risky route. But the safe route is just sticking to one thing forever and just being a one-track mind and never embracing what you actually care about. That's a big problem. I have a massive problem with that. Because it's never, ever going to be enough. If you think that your purpose on this planet is to sell someone a product that you don't care about, you're selling yourself short. If you think your purpose on this earth. Again, think of the weight of that. If you think your purpose on this earth is to just pay someone else's bills, you clock in, clock out, do the same shit every single day, don't care about it, turn yourself into an emotionless robot, you are selling yourself short. And I am so confident in saying you're heavily mistaken. Don't you think there's got to be something more? I have to believe that there's something a little bit deeper to the human experience than just finding a job. That is, I couldn't believe in that more. So it's such a difficulty to be the modern day human, even though everyone talks about how luxurious and cushy and soft everything is. Well, we've got the existential pain in the ass. I will say that throwing in a lot of the survival simulating practices helps a lot. I do the ice bath every morning. If that's not the most sobering shit ever, I don't know what is, because you are just there with yourself, with your own mind. Not a damn thing you can do about it, and you just stay in that discomfort. With your mind under that kind of microscope, you learn a lot about yourself. So that's really powerful. The running, the exercising, all of the things that kind of induce increased stress, like you might feel when you're running away from the hypothetical tiger thousands and thousands of years ago. And then it makes your baseline actually real. Or do you think about how could someone be stressed to the point of depression and even suicide, but we don't face any actual danger today? That is what's mind-blowing. That is a mind-blowing outcome of the modern day world. And you can't blame people for it necessarily. I mean, maybe the first person that said, this whole cold thing is kind of pissing me off. I'm going to figure out a way to never be cold again. Or I'm going to figure out a way to never be hungry again. Whoever tapped into that part of this human condition, let's solve the problems. Let's solve discomfort. They screwed everything up for us. So maybe we can go back in time and beat the hell out of that person. But, I can see the nice sentiment, but now it's not working for me. So again, this idea of finding yourself, your entire purpose, the depth of the human experience being tied to a freaking job, that couldn't piss me off more. And if you're in high school or middle school even, and you got a teacher telling you to do that exercise of looking at the top jobs and pick one, and there's a pit in your stomach going, is this going to be the rest of my life? Throw that laptop out the damn window. Or whatever the hell you're looking at that's telling you that shit, throw it away. And if you're in college and you're going down this path and you've picked your major and you've done the thing and you're solidified in the one lane, screw all of it. Get good grades, get the degree, do whatever the hell you need to do, but mentally screw that shit. And if you have the job, if you've been solidified in the lane, screw that. If you feel like your entire soul is just disintegrating every day you walk into your workplace, you might want to trust your gut that is yelling at you, get out of here. Get out of here. When I was growing up going to school, if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard me talk about this plenty, but that was the source of my anxious mind. It became my identity to be an anxious person, a worrier, a compulsive thinker. And it was all created by this environment of school. And, I'm not the chosen one, but I was pretty damn smart when I was young, as I think we all are. And that pit in my stomach was like you could not imagine walking into this building going, nobody gets it. I hate this place. I don't belong here. I know myself more than anybody in this whole school combined, including the teachers. I don't belong here. That's what my heart, my mind, my gut was screaming at me every single day. This is wrong. And I was right. Dude, I ran away from school, and that was the coolest shit I probably could have ever done. I look back, I go, I wish that I was misbehaving more. because, you know, the anxiety and all that turned into me just following the rules and sticking to everything, even though mentally I knew it was absolutely ridiculous. I wish I went to the frickin' principal's office. I wish I got suspended. I wish I did all that shit, because it would have been way more fun, and I could have known that I was seeing through the bullshit of this authority kind of structure of the teachers and everything. They didn't know a damn thing except the book that they were teaching front to back that didn't mean a damn thing and was probably written by an asshole. You know what I mean? Being in that environment, I learned to trust the hell out of myself. And I can thank a lot of the people that were around me and my family that kind of reinforced that. My grandfather was huge on that. You know, he would be helping me get to school, and he would be explaining to me that these damn teachers don't know anything about dealing with someone like you. They've never been out of this system. They don't get it. And, you know, we're on the way to school, and I'm freaking out in my mind. But he's reaffirming what I know to be true, and that's a gift right there. So if I can play any part like that in your life, please trust yourself. That's a big freaking deal. Trust yourself. Trust your gut when it's screaming at you, saying, I don't belong here. Your life's existence, you know what I mean? Your life's mission and purpose and all of that depth. No, it's not going to be defined by a job. Please remember that for me. I think the world will change if you do. So when you think about this idea of purpose, it is the fundamental characteristic of any high-level achievement. Any great thing that has been done is because there was a really big purpose behind it. So higher level characteristics like discipline, productivity, I don't know, even kindness. These things that we all love about people that have great character, it all comes from having a reason to do so. However, if you do any of those things without a purpose, as in it's just obligation instead of conviction, that's when you see people kind of digging themselves a hole. So think about someone who's really nice just because they feel like they're supposed to be really nice, but then they go back home and they're slamming every freaking door, and they get out of the car and they slam that one, and they go inside and they're just screaming because they're sick and tired of being nice when they don't even want to be nice. You know, that's a high level characteristic out of obligation instead of having real purpose behind it. So if you can wake up every day and say, I know exactly what I'm trying to accomplish in this lifetime. And it doesn't have to be a project or a checkpoint or a job related thing. It's just, here's what I want to be the essence of me. You treat your life like a project. When you have that kind of mentality behind waking up every day, it doesn't make things easier, but it makes things clear. It makes it very easy to understand why you ought to wake up in the morning, why you ought to be disciplined or productive. This is the essence of being of that high level characteristic, because people think that when you are this quote unquote disciplined person, that waking up in the morning is easy for you, which is ridiculous. I guarantee you that I feel at 5 a.m. the same way that you feel at 5 a.m. However, I have a reason to get up at that time. There's a few reasons. You know, you get that quietness of the morning practically. You can just get things done. The world isn't necessarily awake. But it's also just pure symbolism. If I'm willing to get up when I don't want to, and I do that every single day, that says something about my character. That's a really, really strong data set that I get to tap into all the time. You know, well, I've woken up at 5 a.m. every single day, except 2, story for another time, for the last 7 years. Think of that, 7 years, and there's been 2 days that were not 5 a.m. wake-ups. I mean, that is a fat data set that I get to look back at and go, wow, I keep my promises. I show up when I need to show up. I say yes to the hard things. And that is just absolute fuel for achieving things because I go, well, if I can do that, I've done the running and I've done the ice bath for so many days straight. What do I want to do? A marathon? No. But if I did, of course. I mean, are we kidding? I would just go on ChatGPT and say, give me a decent plan to run a marathon, and then I'll just follow it for 6 months. And then I would just do it. And that's not arrogance, that's confidence because it's based on history of showing up to the thing, sticking to the plan like it's nobody's business. Think of what that can do for you. That purpose, that mission statement that's just ingrained in your mind, would it make running a marathon easy? No, it would make it clear. I would have an understanding of why I want to, because in this hypothetical, which again, I don't want to run a marathon, but in the hypothetical, there would be the symbolism of this is just an extension of that data that I've been building. It says something about me. That is, I mean, this is real work. You know what I mean? Building this kind of data, getting the outcomes that you want to achieve through this kind of stuff is such a different thing because people want to win just to win because they see celebs doing it. People want to have a good physique because, you know, that must be the key to success. But it's not that at all. Figuring out why, actually having an answer to why are you doing this? Why are you the way you are? Why do you want to do X, Y, and Z? I mean, I don't want to be a that's the key kind of guy, but that's the key. You know what I mean? I think this would be a good time to mention that I work one-on-one with people to figure out just this. So if you want to improve your body or your mind or your direction in life, having an actual reason to do that is the first step. And then the work that comes along after, it's simply work. But people think that to have the best body, you need the best workout plan. No, you need the best mind. You need the best understanding of why you ought to have the best kind of physique. And to be able to teach people how to achieve those outcomes through a real foundation, that's the name of the game right there. And I try to remain humble, but I am really good at it. Because this is the story of my entire life. And when I'm working with somebody figuring out, hey, why do you want these things? Who are you? Those questions shouldn't be threats. Those questions should be fulfilling and there should be an answer to them. So if you want to achieve the body, the mind, the direction, while having a real foundation that's propelling those things, please let me know. I would love to work with you to help you get to the next level, to actually change, to do real work, to be a fundamentally better person. If you're interested, you can book a discovery call with me at the link in the description of the video and the show notes if you're listening on Spotify. But let's change the world through changing you. What do you say? So what's interesting, and I touched on this, society's definition of success, it doesn't include purpose. That's why we're all being steered in a bullshit direction. It doesn't include purpose. It includes a Lambo. It includes just access to whoever you want in whatever manner you want to picture right now. It includes a sick-ass house. It includes a lot of followers on Instagram. All of that is missing something in a very deep way to where, oh, wait a second, Instagram followers, that's got to be the key, right? Oh, well, let me just shake ass on Instagram and get 1 million followers. Wait a second, that hole in your heart didn't get patched, did it? Your gut is still screaming at you. There's still a pit in your stomach, but you got 1 million on the gram. What are you complaining about? Oh, it didn't actually work because the way you got that 1 million is not fulfilling to your soul. It's actually selling the damn thing. This is where we get steered wrong. Oh, the physique. That's got to be the key, right? Oh, just get on roids. get the ab implants, go to Miami, get the calf implants or whatever. You'll be all good to go. You'll look awesome, and then everyone's going to follow you on Instagram and think that you're super attractive, and then that hole in your heart, it's going to be full. It's fixed, right? Wrong, 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 wrong. All of it's bullshit. The Instagram following with an empty heart, bullshit. $10 million in your bank account with an empty heart, bullshit. All the admiration in the world with a sold soul, bullshit. Every single bit of it is ridiculous. And all you see on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and every media in the world is just people with all these outcomes that everyone watching idolizes and thinks is amazing. And you got the motherfuckers walking on the red carpet and blah, blah, blah. Every bit of it is bullshit. I guarantee you 99.99999% of the people on the red carpet are empty. And they've sold their soul and they don't know who they are. And they go home when the cameras are off and they're crying and they're looking for the next drug to solve the depth of pain that they feel within their soul. Actually, they don't have one because they sold it. I forgot that part. It's all BS. So excuse my rant, but I feel a little bit compelled about this sort of thing. And this is why I do what I do, because if every person in the world could just get a hint of what I'm saying right now, I think the world would be a very different place. And notice, I don't want you to idolize me, because that would be bullshit too. Because in that dynamic, the understanding of, or the false understanding that I know everything, I have the keys, and you don't know anything, would be baked into that, and that's ridiculous. It's simply not true. People can be better at other people at some things. This understanding of purpose and lifestyle and discipline and whatnot, yeah, I've been obsessing over that since I was incredibly young, so I might be more well-versed in that, but is your potential really that different from mine? Of course not. So I feel very strongly about this. Something I want you to think about: what do you care about? It's a freaking awesome question, and I think it can drive your decision making. It can drive your path in life in a pretty damn healthy way. So often we set expectations based on things that we're kind of supposed to care about or supposed to do, and then we never follow through on them. So we're setting misaligned expectations, not meeting them, and then we just have this data set of I don't meet expectations when it doesn't even need to be that way. One of my clients I worked with months ago, we did this exercise. He wanted to talk about his New Year's resolution. So I guess this was actually a year ago. Jeez, time flies. But yeah, he wanted to talk about his New Year's resolutions. So we reflected on the prior year. And he had a ton of stuff on this list. And I just said, well, how many items did you actually complete? And he said, probably 20%. I said, okay, cool. So you could have a 100-item list and you could get done 20 of the things. And then you have an 80% fail rate, or this coming year, just make the list 80% shorter, and you would have a 100% success rate doing the same amount of things, just engineering the expectations to be much more aligned. Think about that. It's doing the same thing, but the data, or the way that you're comprehending the data, is going to be very different because you set the expectations in a much smarter way. So you have to understand what you care about, what actually matters to you, to then create expectations that are going to actually align. So right now, I'm kind of on this little gray area on reading, because I feel like I'd rather just spend my time thinking and staring at the wall, but reading is a huge depth of knowledge. It's a huge library, pun intended, that you can pull from for information, perspectives from other people, and just take all of that in. And that's beautiful. And I don't know where I land with it right now. I'm going, how much do I care to be a consistent reader? But if I just said, oh, well, successful people say that you're supposed to read a book a week, so that would be 52 books a year. I've probably done 1/52nd of that. I've probably read a book this past year, maybe two. So if I just take this general expectation and say, yeah, well, I freaking suck because I haven't been reading at all. I haven't been doing my duty as a smart, successful person. Well, then I'm just thinking that I'm a failure. But if I take a look at my care scale of how much do I actually care about this thing, well, I mean, I guess there's a little bit of room for improvement, but I can't say what I've done is misaligned with what I care about. Now, through some conversations, maybe I'm caring a little bit more about it, so maybe I'll start to read a book. Maybe I'll do 10 to 15 minutes a day. Maybe I'll just implement that in a way that actually aligns. But I don't care enough to read for 2 hours a day. I just don't. I want to work on other things for 2 hours a day. Maybe I can squeeze that 15 minutes though, and it makes sense. So to utilize the care scale that I'm talking about, it's a 0 to 7. I came up with this because there's 7 days in the week. How many days out of that week are you going to do a thing? Or rather, how much do you care to do that thing? The way this works, let's take reading, for example. Out of the past 10 weeks, let's say, I have read 0 times a week. So that means that reading right now is on a 0 out of 7, or is a 0 out of 7 on the care scale. I don't care to read. Am I going to argue with the data? Can't. It would be ridiculous. Not a strong argument to make because data shows that I don't care to read. We'll use the gym. Let's say you go to the gym 3 times a week. You care about exercising a 3 out of 7. You see what I'm getting at here? And of course, there's the nuance of, well, you can't lift every day or rest periods or whatever. But just in a general sense, you see what I mean? Where the amount of times that you show up, the rate of consistency is going to reflect your care scale score. Now, is it bad to have a 2 out of 7 in something? No. That's just the honest care that you have for that thing. And that's probably the best thing that you could know. Because now if you set a 2 out of 7 expectation for the thing that you care 2 out of 7 about, then you're at 100%. You're fully aligned. You're doing great. If a director wants to put out one movie a year or a movie every 2 years, well, if they do the one movie every 2 years, every single 2 years, it's 100% consistency. Now the care scale, we might have to make that a, what's 365 times 2? Yikes. 730? We'd have to make that a out of 730 care scale to match the 2 years there. But again, you get the gist. How consistent you show up to something is the data that explains how much you care about it. Once you know how much you care about something, then you can create realistic expectations for that thing and show up to it. Now, a mind space to approach this with is something that a client of mine actually taught me, I guess, which is more of a label for a thing that I'm very familiar with, and I absolutely loved the label, and she called it the unenlightened self. So she would explain things about herself that were not pretty, that were not very polished, but was just the perfect information to work with to make progress from. And she said, this is me speaking in my unenlightened self, but you know, I'm here working, I'm putting in the hours, I've done this for so long, but yet I'm not making way more money than the people that work for me. What the hell is going on with that? And you don't want to say that super generally, or you wouldn't want to say that in a big crowd because people are going to think, oh, look at this money-hungry piece of shit. The thing is, though, when you can tap into that real unenlightened self, you get access to exactly what I'm talking about. What do you care about? And that is, it's the best information you could work with. So the unenlightened self is something really cool that you ought to embrace. Don't trap your mind into being this perfect, polished shit. Give yourself some unenlightened time to see where you're really at. It's a really, really good exercise. The standards for something being your purpose, I would say it just has to be authentic. Again, if I go back to that vision of looking at the top 100 jobs when I was in school, I'm going, all of this sucks. I don't want anything to do with any bit of this. That was authentic. That was just honest, real me saying what seemed attractive and worth my time. And it was none of it. And that is so worth believing. That's so worth trusting, because eventually, you probably end up doing something that you do care about when that's your compass. When the care scale and the purpose and the authenticity is your compass for decision making, you end up in a pretty good spot. So practically speaking, where do you find your purpose? I don't know. Maybe these answers won't be super satisfying, but I don't think this purpose thing is a easy thing to approach. I just think it's a really important thing to approach. So I don't say that to make it an intimidating factor, but more just don't expect to just do a little chat GPT back and forth and say, all right, what's my purpose? Okay, I got an answer. It's more of a feeling, I think. But where do you find it? Quiet moments. Honestly, if you can give yourself quiet moments to just think, consider, spiral if you want to. You know what I mean? Just don't judge yourself while you're thinking. Allow your mind to literally go wherever the hell it wants to. And through that, you're going to have so many beautiful opportunities to answer these big questions. Why are you here? What do you care about? What would you want to spend most of your time doing? The quiet moments are really the only place that you get to do that, because otherwise you're just going to be bombarded with distraction from those things. And I'd imagine spending your whole life getting away from those questions and never being able to answer it. Kind of like everybody. But give yourself those quiet moments, and you'll have a really, really cool opportunity to answer these questions, which is kind of huge. Let's think of the things that you enjoy as well. So maybe you enjoy hiking. Maybe you enjoy spending time with your family. Just certain activities. If you dig way, way, way deep in those dynamics and those activities, you can find some of these answers. A past client of mine, he was trying to answer this question for himself, and I said, what do you value? What do you like to do? And it was kind of a general, I like to spend time with my family. He had younger siblings, and I said, what genuinely drives you? Why do you want to have better character? What is the whole point? And he said, honestly, it feels really fulfilling to be an incredible example to my younger siblings. And I thought, wow, what a perfect answer. And if somebody said, hey, what's your life's purpose? And you said that, they might think, well, what about the job and the money stuff? But is that not a beautiful purpose? To be a great example for those that came after you in the life timeline, which definitely changes the world, which definitely gives people something to reach for and learn from and teach to those that come after them. When you can really sit and say, what's important, get out of the job mindset, get out of the money mindset, and just get to what feels fulfilling. What's the best time I've ever spent in my life? You'll find some really powerful answers. And last answer here of where do you find your purpose? Not the 100 jobs list. Not only perhaps not, but absolutely not. Because there's so much more to life than the job. Even if the job is an extension of that thing, it is not the thing. For me, My job is to mentor people. But if I wonder, what is my purpose here? I mean, it's just to change the world. It's to show people what's possible. And I guess that is really, really close. But it's not the Google Meet call. That is the work. But it has to be something deeper, even if it's perfectly connected. I feel ridiculously blessed that it is perfectly connected for me. This is part of my job, speaking through this microphone about all the ideas I care about. But it's not the podcast recording. You see, it's what the podcast recording is about. It's always something deeper. So just give yourself the opportunity to understand deeper and deeper and deeper what it is you care about, even if you find that the channel that's being expressed through is really accurate. So with that, like I said at the beginning, I hope that the outcome of listening to this podcast is that maybe you have a better idea of how to figure out why the heck you're on this planet. Because ultimately that is the responsibility of being a modern day human. And though difficult, what else are you going to do? You'd be bored without it. So a few closing things here before I forget. I need to start writing these things down. I always have to scroll up in my notes to find my little closing reminders. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Also, subscribe to my main channel because I make freaking awesome YouTube videos and I think you'll really enjoy them. Leave a like if you liked or loved the pod and comment what you thought. I'd love to hear from you. If you're listening or watching on Spotify, leave the show a 5-star rating. That would be awesome. I think it helps me. Why would it not? People see a few hundred 5 stars and they go, ooh, maybe I should listen too. And maybe it changes the world a little bit. Who knows? And also comment what you thought on there because I love to hear from you. And I get back even if it's not in a super short amount of time. But nevertheless, I love to get back and engage with my community. If you want to hear what I have to say but not vocally, you want to read it, subscribe to my newsletter. I do 2 of them a week. I deep dive similar topics to what I talk about on the podcast. I want to say a few things I talked about today. I've done some more deep dives on the specifics of. So if you like to read things, if you like to screenshot some good quotes, make something your screensaver, send it to your aunt or your dog, whatever it is. Subscribe to the newsletter, absolutely free. Link to do so will be in the show notes and description of the pod. Oh my goodness, I have a really good reminder. I'll save it for last. They're all good reminders. But again, mentorship, if you would like to work directly with me on making the kinds of changes you want to see in your life based on a real foundation of understanding why you should, link to book a discovery call with me will be in the show notes and description. Let's chat. Last but not least, of course, 3 words or 4, depending on who you are and how you feel. No phone optional frickin' dinner. No phone dinner. When you eat dinner tonight, you're embracing the quiet moment. You might just find your purpose in that quiet moment. No TV, no computer, no phone, not a damn thing, unless you're with your family or friends. Those are beautiful people to spend that meal time with and talk and explore new ideas. Or if you're all by yourself, that's really cool too. Sit there, stare at the wall, look out the window, hear the noise of the AC, embrace the current moment, enjoy the meal, be there with yourself. If everyone did the no phone dinner for the next 30 days, I genuinely think the world would be a wildly different place. So do your part in changing the world. I'm going to do the same thing. I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you can walk away with something valuable. I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. I want that feeling again to be the way we were.